Okay, if you couldn't tell by the title, I'm going to go on a long tangent. Well, not really that long. This is probably only going to be about like 4 or 5 minutes, but you get the point. About how game developers should prioritize quality over quantity in games, particularly in Sonic games. Let's start with a little comparison. In one corner, we have Sonic Omens. This game has a stranglehold on my brain. And in the other corner, we have Sonic GT. Both for 80 Sonic fan games, but they do have many differences in their gameplay, with GT focusing on being more of a proper transition of the classic Sonic physics-based gameplay, speed being granted for rolling and using your character's abilities at the right times, and Omens being more boost-oriented, though deviating from the base of the formula in its own, arguably inferior ways. Though that's not the focus of this video. It's just about how GT only has 4 stages and 3 bosses, one of which you can't even select from the stage select menu, while Omens has about 10 to 12 stages with 7 bosses. Though all of GT's levels are great, while Omens' levels are mostly good, but there are a couple ones that are just alright, and one of them is just bad. Fuck Weeping Rift, that level is pain and suffering incarnate. Though both of them don't necessarily have the best bosses around, Omens does have the advantage here, with one of the bosses being good, Vortex, and both of them just being alright, while GT's bosses are just passable. But I'd much rather marathon all the levels in GT than Omens, because while I'd get less out of GT, it's more consistently good, while Omens dips in a couple places. Rift. Now, this doesn't mean that having a high amount of content is bad, it's just that what matters is that said content is good. Take a look at Sonic Forces. It has like 25-ish main stages, and almost none of them are satisfactory. All too short, too linear, and too automated. Aside from classic stages, but those are, well...
Database somewhere. We have to locate the building it's in. There's a lot of ground to cover, so just finding it will be a chore.
You already know. Point is, Forces is a good example of there's a lot of levels, but that doesn't mean they're good levels. On the other side of this coin of quality with quantity, there's Project 06, with like 28 main stages, and all, I repeat, all of them are fun to play. While there are some that are a little worse than others, like Tales of Wave Ocean or Sonic's Tropical Jungle, all of them are still very fun to play through and get the S ranks for. And the fact that there's a lot of them is just the cherry on top. I could pick like 4 or 5 stages from P06 and have just as much fun with just those as I would with all 28. That's what I mean when I say that more overall content shouldn't be prioritized over just having good content. Really, if there's a small amount of content but all that content is great, that's great! If there's a large amount of content and all that content is great, that's also great. But if there's a large amount of content and all that content is incredibly mixed, or even dips into just being straight up bad, that's a problem. Really, the amount of content should be dependent on what your resources are as a game developer. You don't want to shoot for too much stuff in your game and risk said stuff being lower quality, but at the same time you don't want to shoot too low and have a final product that you aren't satisfied with and you feel you could have added more to. You have to find the sweet spot of an amount of content you're satisfied with and an amount of content that you can feasibly achieve with your given resources. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. This applies to mods as well. For this, I'm going to use Terraria as an example. Does anyone remember the Tremor mod? I certainly didn't, because I was never big into Terraria until long after Tremor was off the table, but it's important here because it's a perfect demonstration of what I'm talking about. Tremor has 16 new bosses, 13 town NPCs and is still somehow the only Terraria content mod I can find that adds a new Celestial Pillar for the mod's new class, which is an Alchemist class, and the majority of said content isn't very good for various reasons. Reasons I can't quite explain because I haven't played Tremor. Ever. Though I have played the mod the creators made after Tremor, the Antardius mod, however you pronounce it. Though I haven't played it all that much and probably won't play it again for a long time since the mod also ceased development, though from what I've seen, the mod does actually prioritize quality over quantity as stated by the developers themselves. Either way, there aren't that many Terraria mods I'd say are the opposite example. The closest thing is probably the Split mod, which only has 7 new bosses and 2 mini-bosses, 7 new town NPCs, no new class, and definitely no new Celestial Pillar to go with it. And all the content added in Split is very good. Like, some of the highest quality content I'd argue exists in Terraria modding. Side note, why are the eyesore and the ball of flesh summon weapons when they're literally flails that even function like 1.4 flails? Either way, yeah, when making a game, you shouldn't prioritize quantity over quality. Though I think I've made that pretty obvious with what I stated before. Either way, that's about all I have to say. Good day, and goodbye.